Hi, everybody. It's Karen Eriksson-Lee again with Living by His Grace Ministries, and I am blessed and honored to be joined again by Danielle Johnson, who is co-founder with her husband Byron Johnson of, and I've got to get the name. It's a 501c3 nonprofit, Babyface Journey Family Support. I just love that name because their daughter Faith has such a sweet baby face. And I just was so taken in by her. And she is joined with her daughter, Michaela Johnson, who is the vice chair of this nonprofit. And they have just gone through a terrible tragedy. It's the unthinkable as parents and as siblings. And it just happened this year in February. So I would just like them to share because it's important to share with community. And I'm hoping that some of you out there might want to get involved in their nonprofit or support their efforts. They have a petition, which we can also put in the newsletter. There's a petition that they have out there. Um, and I'll let you just talk a little bit about that and talk about really what happened and what you're going through
Okay.
with the loss of faith.
Yeah, so on February 18th, my mom and I went to go pick up Faith from school. She went like half a day.
Uh-huh.
So we picked her up at 12. And we were just sitting there waiting for her to like come up. And basically the nurse rushes up and says that we need you guys to come back now. And so we go back there and her GJ tube is like sitting on the table and she's laying on the bed. And just for like context, the GJ tube is surgically placed in your small intestine. So this is not a tube that can easily just
Come out.
come out. And so we were all kind of frantic, like, because this was like the last thing that we thought would happen.
Mhm.
And so I told my mom to call UVA because the doctors here in Winchester, like, they don't have the things for her. And so my mom's on the phone with UVA, and I like rushed home and got medical supplies so we could have a temporary solution. And we ended up putting a regular G tube in. That way the hole wouldn't close.
Okay.
But our issue was like they weren't telling us what happened. We kept asking, like, how did this come out? They weren't saying anything. And so we're driving to UVA and it's time for her to eat. And we try to feed her and it's leaking out. And
Mhm.
so then we all kind of start connecting the dots that like this had to be pulled out. Like this wasn't
Mhm.
something else. And so we got it confirmed that it was like forcibly pulled out by like the hospital, like the ER, they said that. And so we were just really
They
upset with
called
the
they
school.
called the ER in? They called the emergency room into the school?
Um, no, so they had an ambulance on standby, but like I said earlier, like Winchester Medical Center didn't have anything for Faith, so we didn't go with them. We drove to UVA ourselves to their ER.
Okay, so you mean so the
Yeah.
ER told you?
Yeah, we
You
asked
got
the
there,
doctor.
they said, "Hey, this was forcibly pulled out?"
Yeah, we
Oh,
asked them. Um, so yeah, we were just upset because we didn't know what actually happened. And
nobody would tell you.
yeah, and they didn't end up contacting my mom until like 3 or 4 hours, like the whole incident happened. And so it was just like a lot. And then, um, and then we were waiting for the GJ to come in because she has a special tube because of
Mhm.
her size and
Yeah.
um, and we were just waiting for it. And then, um, my mom had noticed that Faith's breathing was a little like off, which
Mhm.
sometimes it could be because we usually had the nebulizer treatments, but
Mhm.
it was like happening like 2 days in a row. So it
Mm.
was kind of like odd. And then February 22nd, everything kind of just went downhill. I wasn't there initially, like I had came back home
So she
Um,
was still in the hospital at this point.
yeah.
Okay.
Um, so they were there, and I had, like, drove up, and when I got there, it like, everything was just
Yeah.
chaotic. It was very traumatic,
Yes.
um, watching it and just seeing you just feel like it's like you wanna help, but, like, there's, like you
Nothing that
can't
you
really
can
do
do.
anything, and so, yeah, it was very
So
traumatic.
so can I ask what so this feeding tube was pulled out forcibly. No
Yeah,
one gave you any answers as to how that happened or why or, revealed, um,
yeah,
nobody was upfront with you. And so when she got to UVA, what was there did they have to surgically put it back in and then she just sort of failed after that? Or what happened with that? They waited for her
mhm.
size of GI tube to come in or JG or J I'm sorry, I'm not
No,
from
you're good.
yeah. Um, and then what happened with
Yeah, so they had ordered it, and it had actually snowed because we were in Charlottesville,
yeah,
Virginia, and
yes,
so it delayed, like, like, the shipment,
yes.
um, so we were, like, waiting for the tube, and it was supposed to be replaced on the 22nd, but
Oh,
obviously yeah, so
okay.
yeah,
So then she just passed?
yeah.
Okay. And what was their official, like, um, did they say, um, what was going on in that area where the GI tube was? I mean, were they
So they
something in there as a replacement while they were waiting? I mean, that's a long time, 4 days.
Yeah, so we had that G tube in, like, as a placeholder essentially, and they were giving her IV fluids.
Okay.
So that's what she was on the entire time she was at the hospital.
And then she was struggling to breathe while she was there.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
yeah, weird the last 2 days, yeah.
Okay. So where are you now has the school ever come clean and said, "This is what's happened"? Um,
They did send an incident report, um, but obviously there are multiple investigations going on.
yeah,
So we still are going through that
there's a
bit.
process of it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness gracious. So and how old was Faith then? Was she 5?
She was 4.
She was 4.
Mhm.
And when was her birthday?
August 1st.
So she would be 5 in
Yeah.
August. Okay.
Mhm.
And she was in the preschool program. Oh,
Yeah.
my goodness. I just can't imagine going through what you're going through. And I know that there are other people out there who have lost children, and I don't care what the circumstances are. It just doesn't seem right, right? It doesn't
Yeah.
seem natural. And what do you want people to know about faith?
Um, Faith, even though Faith had, all those diagnoses and all these things, she stayed strong and she was always happy. I mean, she was always playing and smiling like it
Yes,
didn't even matter what she was going through. And
She was
you know,
definitely a fighter.
yeah, she was. Um,
Yeah.
she taught us how to have faith,
Mhm.
isn't that
honestly.
awesome?
Yeah.
Yeah. um, yeah, so she was just an inspiration and such a light in our lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what made you call her Faith? Just because the pregnancy had been difficult and you finally made it, or where did that come from? Because you didn't know at that time that
No,
she
we
had
didn't. No,
been.
we had just wrote the name down.
I love that.
If it
That
was
was
like a
on
girl,
God.
and it was literally like, you know, on point. God knew exactly what he was doing.
Yes.
And, she overcame so many things that the doctor said that she wouldn't accomplish.
Isn't that
She
amazing?
overcame so much.
Wow.
And she literally was our miracle baby.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I know I had texted this to Michaela, but and for anybody else out there going through a trial, I just really feel like faith is still working alongside you all, and
Yes.
that God wants so much goodness to come out of this in her
Mhm.
name and in her memory and in her honor. That I think um, He's going to work all this for your good. But it's not easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not easy. So my I can't imagine. But when we come back, um, I would love for you to share with everybody what this nonprofit is about, why it started, and exactly everything that you do within this nonprofit. Because you were sharing some stuff, and everybody, I think these two ladies in front of me are pretty amazing.
Mhm.
And I know their husband, dad has got to be as well, because it sounds like you're really offering a lot through this foundation, which is, I think, astounding. So everybody, we're going to come back, and we're gonna learn more about this beautiful nonprofit. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you soon. God bless.